everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm so glad that you are here. Today we are outside. It is a beautiful, beautiful day. It is like 72 degrees. The sun is shining. It could not be more perfect. And today we're going to plant our spring things in our Greenstalk. So on this video, I want to tell you what you can plant in a Greenstalk when it comes for spring things. I have both the leaf and the original. We're going to talk about the differences between the two, and we're going to get started on our spring gardening journey. So in terms of a spring garden, you may be also in the throes of planting your spring garden as well. Now for me, we live in Tennessee in Zone 7B, and so when it comes to a spring garden, mine is a little bit different just because we have a high tunnel and we have been planting in there since the fall. And so all of the spring type of things that you may be starting now to put out, we've already had in our high tunnel since September. Things like broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, bok choy, Brussels sprouts. Like, we have already done those things. And for the most part, we have harvested all of our cauliflower, all of our broccoli, all of our Brussels sprouts, because those things can tend to take a little longer. Now, we still have some spring crops in our tunnel right now, such as lettuce, kale, collard greens, and bok choy and carrots. But we've already done a huge harvest between the fall and the winter of some of those things that you may be planting out right now. But also in the spring, I will be planting other stuff in the tunnel. And then today I'll be planting in my Greenstalks. Now my Greenstalk will be spring and summer, but today we're focused on the things that can go out in the Greenstalk in March, especially if you're in my zone. So what I did was I looked at all of the things that I have already started seeds on, and I went through and found the lowest temperatures that they can survive. So because y'all know, I got to write it down and be organized. So I have all the things here that I wanted to plant, and I looked up the temperature of each, so that I knew that it was safe to be outside in the Greenstalk. Now in my high tunnel, it's less of a problem because it's temperature controlled and it's going to be much warmer in there than it is outside. But if you are planting outside in a garden, raised bed, Greenstalk, or in the ground, I want you to be able to follow along and know this is what you can be planting right now. And I'm going to give you the temperatures so that way, depending on your zone and where you live, you know if it's going to get that low over the next 30 to 60 days. Now, in terms of my last frost date here, it is April the 20th. So today you won't see me planting out my summer seedlings like tomatoes and peppers. That will come later, and we will leave some spaces for that. Today I'm planting only the spring type things that can endure the temperature that it is right now. So just this week, y'all, it was a low of like 35 just last night and the night before. Now today it's 70, but tomorrow the high is going to be 50. So there's a lot of temperature swings and fluctuations during this time. So you have to be mindful when you're planting your spring crops. What is the lowest temperature? What are you planting? And can it withstand that? Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. If you're not familiar with Greenstalk, it is a vertical gardening system that I highly, highly recommend for many reasons. And I have a code that you can get $10 off your order by using my code LFF10. LFF10, I'll put it up here. So you can use that code at any time that you want to buy an accessory, purchase a Greenstalk, or whatever it is that you want to do. But a Greenstalk is perfect for a new beginner. It is perfect for someone who has very little space. And it is perfect if you have a lot of space. It only takes up 2 feet of space because you're growing up instead of out. And there are 2 different sizes. There is an original, which has deeper pockets, and you'll see that when we get over there. Then there's also a leaf that has smaller depth pockets, right? And the other thing that I did to prepare for today is that I went on Greenstalk's site, and they will tell you exactly what you can plant in their Greenstalks for the leaf and for the original. Now, anything that you can plant in the leaf, you can plant in the original, because the original obviously is much bigger already. So if it can fit in the leaf, it can fit in the original. If you didn't know that this is a resource, I will put the link down as the first comment, so that way you can go and grab this and you can print it out and know exactly what you can plant in your Greenstalk. So you can see here that I've kind of circled the things that I have, and I know what can go where. So as we're planting today, I am referencing what I can go and what I can plant in my Greenstalks depending on which size I have. And I'm also referencing the lowest temperature that they can take, and I feel fairly certain that these things are going to be okay. Now, I have plenty of most of this stuff, so if it's not okay, I'm still going to be to the good. But I will tell you as we go along kind of what we're doing. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to actually top off and amend and put new compost in our green stalks. Now, over here, I have 3 green stalks. If you're new here, then maybe you haven't seen that. If you're not new, excuse me, if you aren't not new, then you know the green stalks that we have. We have 2 evergreen, and we have the beautiful lilac color that just came out this month. The lilac is the original. This is a leaf. You can see the pocket sizes are smaller. And then this green one here, the evergreen, that is also an original. So I have 2 originals and a leaf back here in the back of my house. So the lilac we just did on a video together about 2 weeks ago. And so this is brand new. It has brand new soil, brand new compost. It is ready to go right now because we just set this up. These 2 green ones have not had anything in them since the summer of last year. I don't typically plant my green stalks in the fall and winter because I have a high tunnel. So these have not been amended or anything like that since that time. So we're going to add fresh compost on the top, each layer, and then we'll be ready to plant. Now I'm also going to add a fertilizer. The fertilizer that I'm using today is from MI Gardener. It is the Trifecta. I love this. It is organic, and you can see it's a 510-4. But it says soil supercharger for organic gardening. It has trace minerals, beneficial bacteria, and fungi. So it has a lot of great stuff in it. Bone meal, green sand, potash, kelp meal, blood meal, poultry manure, feather meal, cottonseed meal, dosamatic lime, Epsom salt, azomite, rock phosphate, alfalfa meal, and humic acid. It has tons of great stuff. It is a great fertilizer to use. So I will also be adding that as well. Now, because these 2 green ones were just set up literally last summer, and I've only planted 1 round in there, I'm not going to dump the soil. And that's one of the things, you don't have to dump all of your soil in your green stalk and start all over again, because that can get costly. What I typically have done is that I will refresh the top layer of the soil. Now, once it's been a couple of years, I will usually try to empty the soil out and mix it in with new soil. Okay, instead of me buying soil to complete all of it, I will dump the soil out and mix in new soil, mix in fertilizer, and then go ahead and put it back in there. But today, since I've only used it 1 time, I'm not going to go through the trouble of doing that. I'm only going to add in compost, a layer of compost, and some fertilizer. Okay, the other reason why I'm excited about planting today is because now look at here. Here are all of our plants. Now all of these are not going to go in the green stalk. Some of them are, and then some of them are going to go to the tunnel in the raised beds down there. But another reason why I'm excited is because I am trying to maximize my space as I'm still starting seeds. I have, 5 more weeks of seed starting to do, and I'm already on my 2nd shelf in my sunroom. And so as I empty this stuff, it's going to, 1, give me more pots that I can use, more trays I can use, and more space. So it is a win, win, win today. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get the compost set up in there. And actually, you know what? I think we're going to start planting the lilac one first, because that is the one that is already ready to go. My husband was back here to kind of help me with the compost to get it lifted for me, but I think he just took a phone call. So while we're waiting on him, let's go ahead and do the lilac one and plan out what we're going to do in there. Okay, so the lilac is the original, which has the deeper pockets. The first thing I'm going to plant are leftover onions. Remember, you guys, I ordered a lot of onions. I was able to do, so I have 2 beds back here. I have 2 beds in the in-ground space. I didn't show that on camera, so I got 2 full beds of that, and I still have a few onions left over, some red and some candy. Now, according to Greenstalk, the onions can go in the leaf, which is the smaller one. I'm going to do both because I want to see for myself if one bulbs up bigger, and because I have the space, I'm going to go ahead and do both. So I'm going to start with this top layer here. And so on the original, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's 5 tiers, so that's 30 pockets. On the original, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 6, which is 42 pockets. I always get that confused. So the original has 30 pockets. So on the first 6 pockets on the top, we're going to go ahead and plant our onions in.
On this particular day, I was very much enjoying the beautiful weather, just being able to kind of zone out and plant in the garden. The weather was nice. I had a long day, so it was good to just come outside and do something that brings my heart joy. So I have two types of onions left over from all of the major onions that I planted. One is a red candy and one is a candy, which is a yellow variety. Both of these are from Dixondale Farms, which is where I buy all of my onion starts. I do have a video on onions when I planted the first original batch, and I talked about the onions and how you do it. So if you need some help with that, definitely go check out that video where I planted the first round of my onions. All in all, I have not continued to keep up the count, but I think I easily have planted 400 to 500 onions. So I have two rows in the back of my house, two raised beds in the back of my house. I have two raised beds outside in my outside garden in raised beds. So that's a total of 4 beds. And now I'm planting in the Greenstalks out here. So I'm excited to see how the onions do in the Greenstalks since this is my first time.
Okay, so I ended up doing the first 2 levels of onions. So that would be 12 onions. I still have a few stragglers left that I will plant some of them in the leaf. I'm going to leave this middle one open to put flowers in, so that I'll add a pop of color to the Greenstalk. You don't have to do that. That's just me for aesthetics. I'm going to leave this tier open. And then on this 4th tier, I'm going to go ahead. I have 4 lettuces that I can put out here. Now, lettuce can be done in the leaf, but whatever you can do in the leaf, you can do in the original. So I'm going to go ahead and pop some lettuces in here, probably every other one. And then I'll may save 2 spaces for a flower as well. Now, in terms of flower, the flowers that can go in here, it says are, I think, coleus, which you don't want to put the coleus out there, and my coleus is not ready to go out. And then I think it said nasturtiums, and my nasturtiums aren't ready. But there's some petunias. They can go in here as well. My petunias are looking good, but I did not look up the lowest temperature for petunias, so I'm not sure they can go out yet. So I'm going to pop these lettuces in here, and then we'll get the rest of this field. Okay, guys, so this one is done. So to recap, we have these first 2 layers of onions. They can withstand temperatures as low as like 25, 30 degrees. Obviously, we already have our onions out. They will be fine. In this level, we're going to leave it open for flowers. On this level, I did every other as a lettuce. Lettuce is good up until 20 degrees. And then on this level, I did 2 dill and 1 cilantro. Dill is good up to 25 degrees. Cilantro is good up to 10 degrees outside. So I promise you I will give you the temperature. So this is done. The pockets that I left open will just be for flowers to add some beauty, color, and things like that. But we don't have those flowers ready yet. So now we're going to move on to the leaf, which is the one in the middle. It has deeper pockets, and that is usually what I plant like a lot of my herbs and lettuces in, because you want something that does not have a long root system. The original, this is I think 10 inches deep. That's why you can plant tomatoes and peppers in here. In the leaf, it is, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 7 inches deep. I'll double check that. But a lot of your herbs, lettuces, and flowers that have a short root system will go in those. So let's move on to the leaf planter and let's get that one planted up. Oh, I don't think he's got to that one yet. Have you? Mm-mm. Okay, my husband is like adding compost to the top. So I got one more tray in the house I'm going to go get, and I'll start to figure out what we're going to plant in the leaf planter when he gets done. Okay, guys, I went ahead and did this original. Again, this is the same size as the one that we did in the lilac color, since my husband is working on the leaf. And so what I did was I did the first 2 rows or tiers of onions, just like I did over there. On this row here, I have a cilantro, and then I have 3 calendula. I'm sorry, let me show you. I did parsley. This is an Italian flat leaf parsley. I have calendula right here. This is cilantro, another calendula, and another calendula. So I think 4 calendulas, a parsley, and then a cilantro. The last 2 tiers I'm going to leave open for my petunias, and so that'll give it color. If I would have been thinking, I like to have the middle tier with color, especially because it just breaks it up. But I didn't think about that, and I'm not going to redo it. So I'll leave the bottom 2 for petunias. I think I have around 8 or 12 petunias, if I'm not mistaken. Y'all, let me show you my petunias because they have grown. This is my first time ever doing it. And these are my petunias here. Yeah, I have, looks like I have 12. So that'll be, yeah, exactly 12 spaces. So I'll just save that for there. But look at my petunias. They look so good. I need to look up and see what the lowest temperature is, because maybe they can go out today. But yeah, they look really, really good. This is my first time ever growing petunias from seed. I had heard that it was difficult, but they germinated no problem, and they have been looking 100% great. So I'm excited. And these were the Dollar Tree seeds. So I wanted to try. That was a cheap way to try. But if this goes well and they actually bloom and look pretty, then I will do a ton more next year for my Greenstalks that I don't have to buy, and I'll invest in maybe some different colors. I think these are like a red, purple, and white or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. But let me go ahead and look up and see. Well, first, let me tell you the lowest temperature of the stuff that we planted over here. So, of course, we talked about the onions. They're good to go. And then on the calendula, it is good up to 25 degrees. The cilantro is 10 degrees. We talked about that. And then parsley, I didn't write that one down, but I know that parsley is good for the cool. I didn't write that temperature down for whatever reason. So that should be good to go on that one. The petunias, let me look that up. Okay, it says the petunia is like a bit of a warmer temperature. It said it can tolerate as low as 35, but preferably it likes to be at 50. So it doesn't make sense for me to chance it. They'll just go back in the house, and we'll bring them out when we do like our summer planting and things like that. So I'm not going to worry about that. So that original is done in terms of the spring planting. The only thing we have left to do is the leaf. And my goal is probably we'll fill that one up, because that'll be like all of our herbs and things like that. The other thing is that based on what I'm doing right now, I don't know that I'll do tomatoes or peppers in the original, but you know what, the onions will be ready probably by June, so I'll be able to plant probably some tomatoes in here to replace the onions that go out. It's probably what'll happen. And then I'll also have some peppers, the stuff that I'm doing back here. But the onions back here are looking great. I don't know if you can tell, but they're looking great. Garlic is looking great. So we are good to go. Okay guys, we have all of the Greenstalks planted that we want for the spring. Spaces that I left open will be for either flowers, mostly flowers, and maybe a few summer things. So let me walk you through what I did with the third Greenstalk and how I planted it. So on the top layer is onions. I want to be able to see if the onions bubble up bigger in the leaf versus the original, since I've never done it before. And y'all, I have plenty of onions, and so if this doesn't work, then, which is going to work, I just want to see how well it's going to work, and if I'll be able to tell a difference between the leaf and the original. Now, Greenstalk says you can plant them in the leaf, so they should be good. But because I have extra, I'll see the difference. And then on the second layer here, matter of fact, let me take you off the tripod and turn it around. Okay, so on the second tier right here, I have dill. I have dill right here. This is a lettuce variety. This is sage. Some of these herbs, like this sage, I bought from a nursery. My sage is not that big. Yeah, and I think I only have one sage that germinated. So I only have one, so I bought a couple from the nursery. This is thyme, oregano, and then we're back around to the dill. Then on the third tier, this is chamomile. I have two that I popped in here. This is another calendula there. This is parsley. I left a couple of open spaces. I think one open space. On the third row, there's quite a few open spaces. As you can see, I'm going to put some nasturtiums in there for color. This is thyme. That is thyme. I grew those from seedling. This is actually lavender that I grew from seed. It looks beautiful. So I have one there and one there. Then on this fourth tier, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth tier, there's some cilantro. There's more thyme that I did from seed. This is a lemon thyme that I got from the nursery. And I think the rest of this tier is empty. The tier number 6 is completely empty. I'm saving that for color and flowers. And then on the very bottom, I have a spearmint that I'm going to grow. I put it at the bottom. It says you can put mint. Of course, you know that anything mint will take over, but it will take over the space that it's contained in. So we're going to try it and see what happens. And then beside that, I have some dill on either side of it. And then I have a rosemary there. All the rest of the spaces are left empty. I've already watered all of them in, so they are good to go. The weather seems to be mild for the rest of the week, which is good. And then the lowest temperature for the ones that I didn't tell you, lavender. Okay, so the ones that I didn't tell you, the lowest temperature. For lavender, it's good up until like 10 degrees. It's like a cold hardy plant. I actually have lavender in my front yard, and it's done well pretty much for the whole winter, except when it got just downright brutal and we had single digit temperatures for like, 3 or 4 days. It's still there. I'm sure it's going to come back. But there have some spots that is brown, but it's not going to get 10 degrees more than likely between now and the last frost. What else did we do that was for the first time? Thyme is good to 20 degrees. Sage is good until 30 degrees. The mint says 40 degrees. And so again, there's just one spearmint I put in there. The rest I'm going to put in my tunnel. If it doesn't make it, not a big deal. It may get below 40, but a night here and there. Plants are resilient, and plus, as a gardener, I live on the edge sometimes. Especially, again, I'm going to take risks and live on the edge when it's not that big of a deal and I can risk it to lose. I'm never going to go bet the whole farm on one crop and try something new, but I will be a rebel and try different things in different areas. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today as we got our spring planting done in all 3 of our green stalks. I'm excited to get that done. The next thing is to actually plant the rest of the spring things, which is going to be really a duplicate of this down in the tunnel. Same crops, it's just that I'll have some down there as well. So thank you guys for joining me. Again, if you want the code to get your green stalk, to add to your collection, or to get your very first green stalk, I would highly encourage you to do that. It is a wonderful product. My code is LFF10. Also, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love for you to be a part of this community. Remember, until next time, gardening is a journey. Let's grow together. I'll see you next time, friend.